Hello and welcome to a very special Elektor LabTalk number 17, coming to you live from Embedded World 2024 in Nuremberg. I'm Brian Tristan Williams, and with me here is Chief Editor Jens Nickel, whom you guys will know.
Hello, everyone.
And of course, the famous face of Stuart Cording, our man on the go.
Hi, good to be back again.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I haven't had a chance to see nearly as much as I wanted to, except we've seen a lot of readers and fans come through here and greet us all, which is always great to see because it's normally an email or a message on social media, so we get to see them in real life. And Jens, you only arrived today. Have you been enjoying the show?
Yes, due to a longer sick leave because of an eye infection, I started the show this morning, so I didn't have the time to go around up to now. But I'm really looking forward to it because every CET thing also has its good sides. So I had some time to tinker around a little bit in these days, and yeah. On my pet project, which is actually a controller for loudspeakers. And now I'm also interested in housings and connectors and all that stuff. You know, I'm more the software guy, so the Embedded World is one of my favorite shows. But yeah, now I'm go around with really new eyes, and I'm interested in even more booths.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a software guy too, but eventually your projects look like projects and you want to house them and have nice connectors and nice enclosures. And as I said, we've met a lot of people yesterday and we've been polishing up the upcoming magazines. So we've been at the booth a lot of the time. But Stuart, have you had much time to see much?
Yeah, I arrived about lunchtime yesterday, and the amazing thing about this place is, for me, I think if the electronics industry was a computer game, Embedded World is like a power-up. That you just get the opportunity to draw on all that information, go out and ask questions of people, find out the answers to the things that you're finding it difficult to find elsewhere. We have the internet today. It's one of the most amazing things that we have compared to when I started in the electronics industry, but it still doesn't answer everything. And there's new stuff. One of the things I've been reading about recently and wanted to learn more about was another generation of IoT cellular technology. So currently we have CAT M1 as an example for sort of higher speed IoT cellular connectivity, and there's also narrowband IoT. Those are sort of the two competing formats for different types of applications. They have their own spaces. But there's some new stuff coming on. There's Cat 1 BIS is a new technology that's coming along, which I think is sort of building on the back of LTE and the transition to 5G. But there's also something else called 5G RedCap, which is really, really new. They've been doing some tests in Munich recently, which is where I'm based, to see how that's going to be integrated. And it's not being rolled out everywhere at the minute, but it looks like it's going to be maybe a more standardized way of getting cellular IoT rolled out there. Another great demo that I saw as well was on the Mauser stand. I was lucky enough to have a preview of the demo at their new offices. They're making a lot of growth in Europe, and their European office is in Munich, just around the corner from where I live. And the engineering team there are always developing projects to see what can technology do, what boards can be used, how do we integrate things together so that when their customers come to them, they're able to answer those tricky questions. And they've got a coffee making robot, which is voice activated. Very, very clever. So that's a nice little demo. And this morning we went to see BeagleBone. You know, in the world of single board computers, SBCs, that's the other big name that's out there beyond Raspberry Pi in the Linux operating system class of SBCs. And they've just brought out the Beagle Y AI. And I was talking to their head developer and CTO, Jason, there. He's just taken me through the board. It's a super powerful TI processor on there. It's got lots of ARM cores on there. It's also got real-time ARM cores for handling the I/O, which is really important for those real-time applications. But the critical part of this board is the C7 DSP from TI that's also on there, and the neural networking matrix calculation module, which really supports and helps the AI stuff. So, and the other thing that they can do as well is you can start with something like TensorFlow for developing the AI applications. But if you need to optimize and improve them, they've actually got an ARM native compiler for the DSP. And the key critical difference, I think, in that class of SBC is that it's an open source hardware. So that means you can take their bill of materials, you can take their schematics, you can optimize that board for your needs, and then go out and build your own version. So those are the sort of key things that really popped out for me so far, walking the floor here.
Yeah, well, you're fortunate enough to live in Munich, certainly a hub of innovation around here. I did see a bit of the BeagleBone demonstration. If you're at Embedded World, you can catch it at the Texas Instruments stand, and that's certainly of interest to me. But Stuart, have you always been interested in cellular technologies?
I'm sort of fascinated by it because I think cellular technology is there, and we hear so much about it in the consumer space. And I think that sort of also it's the hindrance to its development is that there's so much focus by the cellular industry on getting 5G out there, high bandwidth, and yet sort of 5G provides a lot more innovation. We've done articles on the Elektor magazine in the past on this. So yes, we get lots of bandwidth with 5G, but there's two other critical things. There's also very, very low latency, and we also have very high connectivity. This sort of thousands to hundreds of thousands of nodes, and those sort of things are helping in the industrial sector and the IoT market. So I've got lots of IoT nodes, and I've also got seen demonstrations where, for example, I think Audi was using a 5G, a robot arm, which was controlled over a 5G network as part of a manufacturing process. And of course, you need that safety in that sort of system. You know, the robot arm has to stop in the event something goes wrong. It's a safety critical system, and 5G is capable of doing those things. Another interesting aspect is private networks. We've talked about that before as well. That means that you can actually set up essentially your own 5G network on an industrial site. Let's take BMW, for example, for manufacturing, or Audi, someone like that. They can actually have their own 5G network, which is licensed and everything, but only their nodes, their industrial equipment, for example, and maybe their own telephones as well, can connect to that 5G network. And that means you've sort of also got a bit of control over the network as well, which is a problem on a public network. But for example, if you go to a big football stadium, see a TV company, they may be able to reserve some time slices of 5G in order to use 5G for video broadcast. So they're guaranteed the latency, they're guaranteed the bandwidth they need for their camera system, and yet everyone in the stadium can still share their social media posts and highlights from the game too. What we see in the IoT space is that there's interest there, but obviously it's not as money-making as the business and the consumer customers, but there is interest there to support it, and there's loads of things that are connected to it. We've got all our e-scooters and our e-bikes that we can rent. We've got our charging stations for electric vehicles. They need to be connected as well. So there's loads of applications that need that connectivity, and yes, we've got things like LoRaWAN and Sigfox and things like that. But the problem is that the bandwidth is very limited, and latency can be an issue, and also coverage is an issue, where cellular is available around the world.
Exactly.
And I think there's companies like uBlocks and Quectel and that are providing the silicon and the modules required to make those things happen. We're talking to Sunnyway later about antennas, for example, for those applications. So there's a whole ecosystem there, which is sort of making cellular easier to do and easier to implement and deploy. And the cellular operators are also providing the access as well and providing packages. There's also independent players as well. They'll provide you like a worldwide SIM for cellular IoT type applications. So you can build your application, put your SIM in, and it doesn't matter where you sell it on the world, it's going to work.
Oh, well, these are the type of innovations you're seeing. I would say it's not as pressing for me as a city slicker with continuous Wi-Fi and cellular coverage, but it certainly is important for industry, especially if you're traveling, you're driving cross country, and having that low latency on 5G. I mean, when cellular started, first we could only send data via SMS, then there was very slow GPRS, 3G, 4G. Now my phone is 5G, and it's incredible the amount that it's compounding.
Yeah, I did once spend 15 minutes in a car in the Swiss mountains trying to send a very small PDF to a client.
I remember those
over
days.
GPRS.
Yes, I was once on a boat in Cape Town in about 20 years ago, and I wanted to send a photo to my mother back home. So I first took the photo with my digital camera. I took the compact flash card out, put it in my PDA, linked my PDA to my cell phone via Bluetooth, and sent the email via GPRS, and the picture was probably this big. Exactly. Then I had to phone mum and say, please go to the office, switch the computer on, and look at the picture I sent you. So times sure have changed.
Yeah, exactly. The kids don't know how good they have it, do they?
Exactly. I'm having a look at the chat here. Remember, you're always free to ask questions of us. It's a bit of a weird time slot. We're coming to you after 11 a.m. here. And hello to Ari from the Netherlands. And hi to Asma and Peter. Peter Gilbert, hi, how are you? And to Brett H. Let's tell you about our giveaway today. We've got a few items to give away. We can just bring that up onto the screen. So we've got some Elektor classics to give away. First and foremost, I have it with me, is the Elektor sand clock kit. And that's a very clever kit. It draws the time on the sand using servos and arms, and it keeps the time updated. That's pretty impressive. Check that out on our website. In fact, if I stand a bit closer.
Exactly. That's a really nice kit that
Out of focus, but
we've had around for a while, and I find time fascinating, and it's interesting to see all the different ways that you can show and share time
Sorry,
with
that's the
people,
sand clock
different
kit.
types of applications. So, yeah.
And then besides that, we've got some other classics here. The Elektor Funny Bird kit, which is a bit of a fun one, and US style siren kit. I don't know why it has to be US style, but it has been very popular. The little siren board, and it comes with a lovely display enclosure, so you can either show off and impress your friends or annoy your wife, whichever, having it on display. And of course,
the other thing to say about these are really nice kits to get the kids involved, aren't they? To get them with their first experience soldering, handling components, and all the tools that you use in the lab. So, and it's something you can build together.
Yeah, exactly. I've had my kids do a digital clock, learning to solder and stuff, but it's nothing like an actual moving sand clock with an arm that draws the time in the sand. And then finally, we have a one-arm bandit kit for those who like to try your odds at a little bit of gambling. So in order to enter the competition, you visit our giveaway page, and we'll give you the code word later. So you'll have to enter a code word, and then you can enter the competition. In other news, let's get rid of this slide. There we go. We have some guests joining us from Espressif today, our partners. If you remember, last December, we published a special guest edition of the Espressif magazine. So I'd like to welcome today Anand Raj Gupta from Espressif. You take Stuart's place there. And thanks for joining us, Pedro Minatel. So, Anand, how have you been enjoying the show so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's as usual, pretty busy and exciting. You see so many different innovations happening all around you. There are, I mean, it's really the place for the technology enthusiasts as well as technology. What is latest happening? You see so many debuggers and stuff like this. You have people doing stuff for, doing code evaluations, static analysis on code and stuff like that. So it's really amazing to see what all people are doing, and it's always exciting to be here.
And what are you showing off that you found people have really been responding to?
So there are a few things which we are showcasing on our booth this year. So first of them is P4. I think it's getting a lot of traction. We are seeing people having a lot of excitement about it. They have already planned projects around it. They have already planned products around it. So P4 is our latest product, which is going into mass production maybe in this quarter, later this quarter. It has very good capabilities around the MIPI CSI. It has a two-lane MIPI CSI with an integrated ISP. We have an H.264 encoder on chip, which can help to basically encode your video stream, push it onto the servers. H.264 is very important there because most of the servers these days only expect H.264 and H.265 encoders. So it is primarily focused for like applications like doorbells, smart cameras, which require you to have a stream directly to the server. Then we also have a MIPI DSI interface there, which has a 1080p 30 FPS availability. So it's all in all, it's a very, very powerful product for having any kind of HMI applications. It's a pure microcontroller. The other thing which is gaining a lot of traction is C5. So C5 is our dual band product. So the 5 gigahertz has become very critical for wireless technologies now. especially Wi-Fi, because of a lot of congestions on the 2.4 gigahertz band. And we can see it on our booth that the 2.4 gigahertz just keeps on trying to connect to the access point. If it connects, then the pings are getting timed out, but the 5 gigahertz is always reliable with low latency. So yeah. Pedro, you want to add anything?
Yeah. So okay. So first of all, I like to invite everybody to join the Expressive booth, and we are also showing some HMI demos. We have like a couple of displays there, as well. I like to invite them to the, like to see all software solutions. We are like showing the ESP IDF, which is our main SDK. We call SDK, but basically is a kind of IoT operating system. So we have everything integrated, and you can start using right away with all ESP32 products. So we have a special demo for ESP IDF. We can show as well all frameworks we support. So that's it for the software part, and I'm very happy to be here at Elektor, and it's been like really fun to.
Well, that's great. I mean, you guys in the last 10 years have come out of nowhere, starting with the ESP8266 becoming like tiny little chip with just connected you to the world of Wi-Fi, and you've exploded since. So you've got quite a large stand there, and quite exciting. We've got a joint scavenger hunt here with. Go ahead, Jens.
Yeah, just a small addition. We have a scavenger hunt, Expressive together with Elektor. So everyone who is going here gets a voucher and then should go quickly to Expressive.
Yeah.
Then there will be a small surprise, and the other way around. Everyone who is at Expressive stand should also join Elektor. And yeah, we have a nice giveaway for everyone who's coming from Expressive to Elektor, and that's this S3 development board. Yeah, it's quite powerful. I'm also using it for my own projects. A nice add-on to this. Brian,
I certainly want one of those, and if you guys don't come and get your treasure hunt, I'm going to take one of these kits because it's look forward to looking at it. I mean, speaking of exciting, we did this special Elektor Mag edition with Expressive in December, and yes, this is a 1 month edition, December, but this could keep you busy for a whole year with the amount of special Expressive projects and all the different modules and boards and all the different things you can do with it. So I really would recommend you check this out. It's available for download on our website, but we have a physical copy right here, which is great. Did you guys enjoy this?
Definitely, right? I mean, while writing it as well as while reading the articles around it from other editors around the world, it's amazing to see what all different kind of products projects people have made. For me, there was one twinkling Christmas light project which I was like very excited to see. Then there are a lot of articles around some of our technologies. There is one on the ESP Now, which I find it's a very, very amazing coin cell operated button, which works over Wi-Fi but has like 10,000 clicks so there are a lot of amazing projects around there. Pedro, you have any favorite?
I have a couple of. So one of them is the Rust embedded. We are working hard on Rust support, and I think it's like I'm not saying that it will replace C. This is like quite complicated topic, but Rust is definitely one of the new guys on the block for embedded.
That's cool. And besides all of that, which was cool enough, you had an exciting announcement about a developer conference. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So we have DevCon. We have every year. So this is the third edition. So I like to invite everybody to join us would be in September. So it's online. And right now we are open for the call for presentation. So if you don't have any cool idea or any cool project to share, you can go to devcon.expressive.com. We have the submission form. The conference will be online for free. It will happen in September, from September 3rd to 5th. So 3 days with a lot of exciting topics. We'll talk, of course, about P4, C5, some of our cloud solutions like ESP Insights, Rainmaker, Matter, which is one of the new connected it's for connected home devices. So if you if you don't know what is Matter, like definitely you need to follow the developer conference. Yeah. So for the DevCon it's that.
That's great. I'm just trying to bring this onto the screen. There it is. So yes, go to what's the URL again? I can't see it. What is the URL for this?
Okay, so it's devcon.expressive.com.
Okay, so there you have it, devcon.expressive.com, and certainly make an effort to join that because there's a lot to learn over there. Jens?
Yes, I will definitely also join.
This is the website. We're looking at it now. Let's take a look at how it's going out there on the floor. Yep. Busy as always, lots of people visiting us. And if I could just figure out how to take this. There we go. Website gone. There you can see our busy booth. And now we're back with Anant. Anant, when you joined the up with us, did you expect to have such a thick, fat edition with so much contribution from your community, from your guys, from Elektor guys?
Not really, I would say, yeah. So, I mean, it's a pretty thick edition with, I think, more than 60, 70 articles around it. So, yeah, my expectation would be maybe like 40 around, definitely double than what we had expected. So, and it's amazing to see like how much people contribute, and it's really, quite, I would say, fulfilling to see that people are able to use our products into such varied applications, such different projects. I mean, Pedro is much more closer to the community. He has a lot of other, I would say, interactions with them. But yeah, this was kind of my first interaction with people from community writing about us. So yeah, it was really overwhelming, I would say, if not least. Yeah.
Well, we've got a question from LinkedIn. Is the Expressive DevCon conference mostly in English?
So it's mainly in English. We'll have as well the broadcast in China, but it'll be a completely different one. So for overseas, will be in English.
Okay, well, that means I can join as well with no problems. Did you have time to check out this edition?
Yeah. So I have my workbench there. So it's my favorite place at home. So I work in software, but this is my workbench.
Page 50.
Yeah, page 50. Yeah. So I'm very happy to show my space that I really. Yeah.
I remember this one. It is a rather impressive workbench you got going there.
Exactly. Yeah. So I really like to design my own hardware. It's especially for expressive chips.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you also contributed with an article to that edition. And recently we got a detailed question about it from the Elektor readers.
Yeah, so I have one article. It's not here in the physical edition. It's on the extended.
In the bonus edition.
Yeah, the bonus edition.
Mm-hmm.
So it's how to flash the ESP32 in many different ways. Mm-hmm. So we have mainly the flash process through the build. So you build, flash, and then eventually you can debug. But we have many other options. So we have, for example, like the Launchpad. So you can flash your ESP right from the web browser. So if you are using Chrome, for example, like you can flash without any installation. You can just open one website and then flash your device, which is like it's amazing for some applications that you don't need to install the whole like set of tools. You can also like flash over the air. So there are like a couple of options to flash the device. So the article is basically to show like how to flash in many different ways.
And you said there was an in-depth question about that.
Sorry?
The in-depth question about that, is that answered to your satisfaction? We've got some in-depth. Well, we've got a lot of in-depth questions on both social media and.
For us, it's always fun if we see that readers really read it in detail, the stories, and also work with things.
I know I've been having some fun with the ESP32 cam, but I'm interested in that MIPI CSI that you spoke about doing full 1080p. That will be more fun to play with. Is there anything upcoming or any secrets you can reveal that you're about to release in the future?
So so we are coming up with something called ESP32H4. So it would be the progression for the ESP32H2 product. The H4, the main advantages or main key differences are that it integrates an on-chip DC-DC. So basically, we significantly reduce the current consumption of the device, which enables to have longer battery life for the devices which use it. The other significant update is we are moving from BLE 5.0 to BLE 5.3, which means we can now support LE audio as well as angle of arrival, angle of departure, which makes indoor direction finding or indoor locationing applications enabled. So so it has quite a few exciting updates. So I'm also excited about it because there are a few things which we have not done before, which we are doing here. So let's see how it goes.
Oh, well, you're getting me excited. I just whizzed through your booth yesterday. I didn't have time to spend in preparing for this lab talk, but after this, I'm going to spend a lot of time there. And sorry to take you guys away from your booth for so long, but thank you so much for joining us, Anant and Pedro. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting us. It was always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to Elektor and the community there. So thank you.
Yeah, and likewise, and it's all about the community. Thanks, guys. So that was the special edition of Elektor that we had with Espressive. And speaking of editions, Jens, you've got the latest
also have
edition.
the current edition, of course, at our booth. So, how can it be else? It's about AI and embedded. And we also have a very special, very thick edition with even more stories in there. You can get it directly on the fair. But for all those who cannot be in Nuremberg, which is sad, but if you can't join this fair, you can download the extra articles as a special bonus edition at Elektor.
Yeah.
So you don't miss any articles.
The print edition is pretty impressive, though, I have to say. But go ahead and download.
It's so thick, isn't it?
Yes.
It's extra.
We have so much content. We're very fortunate. In fact, we have too much content sometimes. We have to turn away some good stuff.
That's a luxury problem, yes.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
But okay, we now have these vertical pages. So there we have the option to put even more things concerning special topics in the internet. So if you have the time, join the Elektor website.
Yeah.
And there you can find a lot of extra bonus special articles, for example, about power and energy. And the next vertical will be embedded in AI and then test and measurement. It's currently under construction. But it will be filled the next weeks with more content. So that's a new media we have.
Yeah. So that's a luxury problem that we didn't have before, and we have the luxury now of putting stuff on the internet where, as a former print edition, we didn't have. What you printed, and the rest, stayed in the filing cabinet. But we've got the verticals. So visit our website, electormagazine.com or .de or .fr or .nl, depending on your language. And as I said, we've got our engineers running around the floor having a look at things, and I know they're in their seventh heaven now. And joining me now is Jean-Francois Simon. Moving over there, Jean-Francois, how was your fair been?
Hey, thank you, Brian. It was great. It was very exciting first day for me yesterday. Today it's a little bit easier for me, and I've seen quite a lot of interesting companies actually. And of course we had the list, but very long list. So I don't know how to start.
Start at the beginning.
Yeah. So yeah. So for I've seen the Arduino booth, for example. They are trying to promote their Pro range these days, and so they had a nice display. They also had a partner with them, Italian partner for motor control. So they showed some add-on modules for their Opta DIN rail mount PLC, as well as some carrier boards for the Portenta system. That was nice. Concerning Raspberry Pi, maybe Sad will elaborate a little bit, but they have shown 3 new products, and that will be going the upcoming weeks. New monitor for the any Raspberry Pi in the range. New monitor is 5-volt powered, which is in late development and prototype stage. They also have a new AI camera, which is nice. It has a IMX 500 sensor and a built-in inference engine. Anyway, lots of great stuff. I've also seen that there are lots of contests everywhere, and games and lotteries, and it was a very nice interaction with visitors. So I also have other things on my list, but maybe you want to.
Well, I mean, you have a very long list. Do you think you're going to get enough time to see everything you want to see?
Yeah, there is still tomorrow and this afternoon, so it will be fine. Yeah, I've seen there are also lots of test and measurement companies here. Roden Schwarz, LeCroy, Electronics, etc., Sigland, Rigel. I was a little bit surprised there is no Keysight here today. I think they were there last year, but maybe they didn't want to come.
Yeah, we heard it, I think, also at the Electronica and also on some special fairs as sensor and test, that companies have to consolidate a little bit their spendings on events.
I see.
So they normally choose 2 fairs. They cannot spend money for 4 or 5 fairs.
So one of the other things is sort of talking to people in the industry about the business and the market at the minute. The feeling is it's a bit soft. There's definitely, unfortunately, because of world activities such as the Ukraine war, people who had in sort of business in Russia, they've seen that fall away. So that's been a big amount of money that suddenly just disappeared out of the financial coffers. And then the other aspect is we're just seeing a bit of a flatness. I think Corona sort of it backed everything up. We're sort of out of the Corona crisis now, and we're able to get chips through to people who need them. But now, there's been delays in designing things ready to be manufactured. So there's sort of a softness in the market, and I think everybody is sort of dialing it back a bit if they have to. And one of the big challenges we see in our industry, and we've seen it for decades, is especially the American semiconductor vendors with their shareholders. They're looking quarter to quarter, and they really do sort of respond on a quarterly basis with their expenses and controlling things. And unfortunately, we're lucky in Europe that we have so many shows and things to attend, but that does mean that sometimes some companies will say, not going to do that one, we're going to focus on that one because that's better aligned with what we do, so.
Yeah, there certainly seems to be a bit of a cash crunch in the market at the moment, but it doesn't stop an event like this from being quite exciting. I'm more of a home tinkerer and an electoral tinkerer, so I'm not that into industrial like automotive, CAN bus, unless I can talk to my own car then. So I'm keen on the more hobbyist, consumer-oriented, although they do a lot of industrial stuff. Arduino, Raspberry Pi.
Don't say CAN bus is industrial only. There are a lot of people tinkering with CAN buses.
Yeah.
They make home automation systems for themselves.
Home automation. I always think of it as just a way to talk to my car. I've bought the OBD connector. I haven't done anything with it yet, like so many other projects piling up. But home automation with CAN bus, that is interesting. And Jean-Francois, you've gone to the places. I envy you because you've been to Arduino, you've been to Raspberry Pi. I don't know if you've been to Texas Instruments, seen the BeagleBone.
Yeah, I was at Texas Instruments, but I have not seen BeagleBone. And Texas TI was really trying to push their TI developer zone, which is they had a really nice demo. It's a web-based IDE, and they have courses there, and they show how you can get started with a new chip in less than 2 minutes. It was quite interesting, and but they have a huge booth with hundreds of things, so, and it was quite packed as well. So I couldn't see much, but they also said that they have a new Cortex M0 Plus core, which maybe I will come back to see more details.
And who else have you seen? Have you seen Microchip?
No, I didn't see Microchip yet.
It's not yet. One of the highlights on my tour around as well. So anything else you want to tell us about? I see you've got quite a lot of notes here.
Yeah, well, I had fun yesterday and this morning, and I've also seen, we were speaking about test and measurement. There is also Digilant, so they are known for their USB scope, the analog discovery, now in third version, and they just released the analog discovery Pro 22. I think it's 2230, but surprisingly, it's approximately the same specs as the analog discovery 3. It only has a larger buffer, which is useful, and the metal case and BNC inputs. And they had a really nice demo going on with one unit generating an RF signal, sending it to an antenna, and then another unit with a second antenna decoding it real time. So it was quite nice.
I think one of the interesting things about the Digilant environment is that all of those tools that they also have an API for programming
Exactly.
them. So if you want to create some sort of automated test equipment system, you're maybe building in small quantities, but you still want to automate some of your testing of the 20 pieces a day that you build. There's a really good way. There's a Python API, and I think some of the others like MATLAB or C#, things like that, are supported as well. And like you say, those there's the analog discovery, the large versions, the small versions. They've also got the programmable power supply, and sort of loads of bits and pieces, which can really allow you to make quite a complicated setup.
Yes, exactly. And the good thing is that you can use them all with the same software, waveforms, and you can control all of it through a single interface and run them in parallel, or disable them or enable them as you want. So it's really quite flexible. Well, that's for me. I think it's pretty much all. I've also one last thing. Lastly, I've had the luck to meet Mike Engelhardt from Corvo, which is the main developer of LT Spice, Q Spice, and LT Spice. He's a really nice man. I was really lucky to chat with him, and
he's very easy to find with his hat on.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice hat. And he showed me a little demo of QSpice. Looks really nice. His demo, of course, was using a complicated Corvo part, but when I use it myself, I make much simpler circuits, of course, but I really have to try it.
Was he also showing the silicon carbide MOSFETs in the demo?
No, I think it was a MOSFET driver, but I'm not sure about the specific MOSFET they were showing.
Yeah. So the difference between sort of LT Spice and Q Spice, because we spoke to him on my show earlier, end of last year. One of the key things they're trying to do is improve the modeling of the next generation of wide bandgap devices. So for gallium nitride, silicon carbide, there's sort of different calculations that need to be done and different things that need to be considered during the simulation process. And that's one of the big advantages of QSpice.
Okay. He didn't show me that part, but he still showed me an interesting thing, which is I2C simulation, because the Corvo part that he was demonstrating is quite complex, and it needs I2C even to configure it and to turn it on.
Yeah.
So you can't just plug it and it works. And he was able to send through QSpice some I2C commands not to the chip but to the model.
Yeah.
And the model was accurate in that regards and was able to turn on and to show the soft start of the of the gate drive. It was really quite impressive.
Another interesting aspect of what he's done there as well is you can start to develop your own models. I think it is in the C programming language as well.
Yes.
So it gives you a whole lot more flexibility, I think, than we've had before in those analog simulation tools.
Yes, and it's really close to the processor, so it runs really, really fast.
Yeah. Super.
Maybe you have time to go to Lattice also because you have some own experience now with FPGAs.
Yeah, actually, I went to Lattice as well. I was interested in checking if they had some little dongles like the iStick that I love, but they told me that they are mostly focusing on higher end products right now.
Okay.
So not cheap dongles, but more advanced stuff. And indeed, they have, and they were showing their Lattice Avant high-end FPGA, and astonishingly, it's also very low power. And they had a demo running with one of their units, which was aggregating data from several sensors. I think there was one HD camera, one radar, one LiDAR, and it was all computing many things and showing the results in real time on HD display. It was really quite nice. And they also, on the same booth, they have some partners using their parts. And I discovered a German company, I think it's called Citrobits. And they are manufacturing little modules using these parts. And for example, you can stitch some video feeds together. They were using 4 wide-angle cameras mounted on a pole, and the FPGA was stitching the images, so you get 360 degrees field of view in real time.
That sounds great. I will definitely also go there.
Yeah, you should go there.
Well, thanks, Jean-Francois, for joining us. What we need you to do now is go out there and get some more news for our community as you have been doing. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And looking at the chat now, Peter Gilbert says that it's great to be able to download the bonus edition for free.
And we need a code for the giveaway.
Yeah, we'll always get there. People are always anxious, and we're not going to cut to commercial break and say, we'll be right back, but we hold on to the code word so that you stick around for a bit. Let's bring that code word up now. Let's stop teasing you. The code word is embedded. So you visit our website, and let me bring it up on the screen. Hold on a sec. Onto the stage, we have our website. Let's go full screen so we can see what's going on there. Yes, Jean-Francois has been frantically running around on the floor and collecting news, and we've all been doing a bit of updates. So since yesterday, CJ started. And yeah, have a look at our page. It's electromagazine.com/news/embedded-world-2024-live-updates. If you can't remember that, just rewind. Got quite a few updates for you here. Now, this is the LabTalk we're on right now, but as for the giveaway, here's the page. Another long URL, electromagazine.com/elector-labtalk-giveaway, but you might be getting used to that one if you're a bit of a regular audience member. Join the site, go there, put in the code word, and we'll give you the code word now. Code word is embedded. Forgot, I already gave that to you. Sorry. Up next, we have our senior engineer, Saad Imtiaz, and he's also been running around the floor. So how has it been going for you, Saad?
It's been really interesting. I mean, it's my first event at Embedded World, and it's so much to see. First of all, I got lost in, I think, hall number 3. I found my way out. Yeah, easily. You can lost there, and in electronics, it's really nice.
I think we need to explain to the viewers who've never been here before what's special about hall number 3.
Well, it has all the ones which I know. So you have Expressive, you have Arduino there, and Raspberry Pi is also there, Mauser. I mean, pretty much all of them are there. I mean,
Yeah.
I can keep going on, but there's so much companies to name.
Stuart, when was your first embedded world?
Oh, it's a very good question. I guess my first embedded world must have been early 2000s.
Yeah.
But there's another aspect.
Three halls, I think, or 2.5 or something like that.
I
It
think
was small.
Yeah, it's definitely smaller than it is now. And I think the thing to share with people as well is how big Embedded World has become. We're in Hall 5 this year, and this is, as I understand it, the first time that Hall 5 has been opened.
Wow.
In total, there are, I think, 7 or 8 halls
Yes.
here. The Nuremberg Messe, where we are, they've actually been doing a lot of work to upgrade this site as well. So the older halls, which is where we are now, they're of a very strange shape. They're sort of like two octagons or hexagons stuck together.
Honeycomb
Yeah.
structure.
And so when you're looking for looking to visit somebody, you can walk down one of the corridors and you run out of numbers. You think,
Exactly.
hang on, the stand's there, but I can't find it.
Yeah.
And you just have to walk around this little bit that juts out. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it gets everybody in the first 10 years of visiting the event, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I experienced the same thing as well. I mean, I couldn't find a booth. I was, where's 452, and I cannot find it. And then I find out that it's mostly like structured in a grid way. So you have from one, there's no zero, so 102, 202, and then it goes from left to right. So then if you know that, then it's easier to navigate across all halls.
And as a first-time visitor, what's surprised you the most what sticks out the most when you walk into these halls?
I mean, the technology you get to see and the amount of people you get to see is so much to see. I mean, there's so many companies. I didn't expect it this much, actually. I thought it's going to be not this much.
Okay.
And this is too much for me, as attending it for the first time.
What are the things you're really looking for here? What's going to catch your eye as you walk around? What your technology focuses?
Mine was that I had to visit the Expressive booth, and they had a really cool the P4 is coming out this July. They said, and it's really amazing, which they added in the extra performance they have, and now the C61, the C5, the C6, they had a much on the demo. Then I came across Pineberry Pi, and they make these hats for Raspberry Pi 5, and they have this really cool hat for M.2, and you can put 2 of the M.2 SSDs on the Raspberry Pi. That was really interesting. And then one of the ones is when I went to Rigel.
Right, yeah.
And they had these amazing, really big oscilloscopes and spectrum analyzers with touch screens. I think it's called Maximum or something like that. It was really overwhelming. Also, I went to Unity, then Raspberry Pi, of course, Arduino.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty much new things to see and to look for.
I think one of the key challenges around our industry is that lots of people are selling components. That we've got semiconductor vendors, we've got passive device vendors here in large quantities, and we've also got lots of test equipment people and software vendors, people who provide the software and stacks for various types of applications. The challenge is providing some context around that, and then that's where all the demos come from. Have there been any sort of demos that have really caught your eye and thought that's a really cool way of showing off that technology?
I think Microchip had one for the autonomous side. So they had the steering wheel with their new sensors and all that stuff. I mean, there's a company, I just forgot about it. They had this racing simulator with all those sensors and all that stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of in the automotive side. Also on the AIoT, Kolga Tech, they had a bunch of new stuff for security and all that stuff. I mean, there's too much I cannot name everything. Yeah. But it's really like you get to see a lot of new things. It opens your mind in terms of technology that, okay, this can be done as well. This is happening.
Yeah.
A lot of robotics and been going on as well. People are working on embedded electronics. Everyone has their own solution for them, and they're trying to make it modular for industrial uses. So it's pretty much all over the place.
Yeah. Now, one of the big things I think as you walk around the whole show is obviously the big brand names. You see the big companies that are well known out of Europe and North America, and also out of China.
Yeah.
Some really big brand names. But there's also a very healthy startup ecosystem
Exactly.
as well. And I think one of the nice things is, firstly, there's sort of startup areas where there's smaller, low-cost booths.
Yes.
But there's also some of the regions like I think Slovakia or Slovenia and other countries, they support their local businesses and sort of create an area where they can all join together. Have you taken a look at any of those sort of
Yeah, I
smaller
think
businesses?
Pineberry Pie was one of the one I visited. And it's too condensed, and they're really offering telling you about their products and all that stuff. But I didn't visit all of them, but today I will do that.
Yeah.
Today is it's on my list that I have to visit. The three, I believe it's in 3A.
3A is So the German startups are all in 3A. They're all
Okay.
German based. Now, one of the companies that's there is somebody I interviewed a couple of years ago, Test and Measurement Show here in Nuremberg, which is a separate event. They're called Sicno, and they focus on radar. And I think one of the interesting things at the minute is when we look at the industry, and if we also look at all the projects in the magazines, the thing that's always been most complicated and has required like a Harry Potter wand has always been radio, always been RF. That's where the tech complexity is. And the complexity increases as you go into the gigahertz range. And radar has sort of been that pinnacle where only a few specialists understood it.
Yeah.
The interesting thing with Sicno is they're building upon the back of the growth in RF CMOS. So companies like NXP and Infineon are doing lots of CMOS capable RF gigahertz radar products. And their speciality is actually in the design of antennas for those things as well. And it's really interesting to see where radar can be implemented. Obviously, it's growing a lot in automotive for the distance sensing of the car, but it can also be used, and they have a demo for this as well, where they measure the movement of the chest in a medical environment, and it means that you can, without having any sensors, without any wires, you can monitor the health of a patient based on a radar system. So that's one of the startups. There's another company called PCB Arts, which are doing sort of industrial embedded systems and combining that with AI for maintenance monitoring situations, things like that. And there was another interesting company as well, which they do high speed turnaround test fixtures. So if you want to build a pin adapter for testing PCBs, they can turn around a completely 3D printed system in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
So that was quite interesting.
Yeah. Well, the most interesting things I saw in Top Electronics and embark. So embark is the microcontrollers mostly used in all the Fitbit and all the nice Xiaomi and
the
Huawei.
really low power.
Yeah, and I watched their demos, and they were so fast and really low powered. I mean, I think even less than 2 microamps or something like that. And the interesting thing I saw there is that they're powering their depth boards with supercapacitors.
Yes.
100 farad supercapacitor with a hybrid system, which has a lipo battery inside of it.
Yeah.
How big are those capacitors?
I mean, this big. I mean, size of your fingertip. And it could power it. They were also backing it up with a solar panel, a small 1 inch solar panel, and it could power it for, I think he said 2 months. And it was amazing, to see that you can do a supercapacitor. You don't need batteries anymore.
It's interesting. I think I think personally that sort of the innovation around processors and speed and performance, I think that's sort of one area, but I think we're sort of less interested in that as an industry. And I think the next phase which we're going to be looking at is how efficiently we can use the available electrons. And the interesting thing about their technology is that they use a sub-threshold transistor. So it works really on the edge of where it switches from 0 to 1, and it's very, very energy efficient. And for the right applications, it does exactly what you say. It gives you sort of years of operation potentially on a single battery cell. It reduces the amount of waste. E-waste is a big problem that we're confronted with, and we're generating it. So we need ways of fixing that. So that's a really interesting area. It's a really good team there.
And they were showing me their line, the embark line. I think it's called Apollo.
Yeah.
So they start from Apollo to Apollo 5, and mostly when you see that there's a reduction in power, the megahertz drop, the speed drops, but it was exponential.
Yeah.
So their Apollo 1 to Apollo 5, I think Apollo 5 is 92 megahertz clock speed, and it's taking, I think, the 1/10 of its current from its first generation.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see these numbers and the demos they put out.
No, impressive. So, and it's a great opportunity here just to collect all that technology information and understand what's possible, and who's got what, where, who's playing where.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. Do you think we're going to see some Teslas running around on supercapacitors?
I don't think so.
And then, Stuart, you mentioned operating right on the threshold of voltage. We've come from TTL down to 3.3 volt, down to 1.6 volt. Do you see any potential shift even lower in the future?
I understand that we're going to struggle to get much below where we are. I mean, that diode voltage in silicon is 0.7 volts. You're really not going to get much around there. I think it's less about the voltage supply and more about being clever with the transistors we have. And this sub-threshold technology. It really, the difference between a 1 and a 0 is 0.3 volts or something.
Yeah.
And because you're making it such a small voltage change, the amount of energy to switch things on and off is immensely lower to just building logic. But the challenge that they have, and when I interviewed them in the past, the real issue is doing that consistently. And you have to remember that you're making lots of die on a wafer. And so you need a process that is capable of providing that consistency across every single die that you're manufacturing. So you don't want to be throwing too many away.
That's true. Well, I grew up with TTL, and the switch to 3.3 was just an annoying incompatibility between circuits. And then we go even lower for PC motherboards. But I guess you got to save energy and reduce the heat consumption as well.
I mean, the 3.3 volts came a lot out of the switch to smaller geometries on the parts. But I mean, I was in the microcontroller industry at the time, and we were struggling with, do we move to 3.3 volt microcontrollers, or do we have 5 volt compatible IOs or not? And there's, I think as an outsider, you get a feeling that, why isn't the industry just fixing this? We can do this. But there were just so many challenges in terms of, it's not just about making sure you're 5 volt compatible, but you also have to make the ESD, the electrostatic discharge capability of all the pins to protect the part. They also have to work as you want and expect. There's loads of engineering challenges, and it's it's not just a case of we know what the circuitry is to be 5 volt compatible. The problem is making that so as that this chip that you're selling will work in something for the next 10 to 20 years and pass all the industrial and automotive ESD tests and EMC tests and all these sort of things as well. So there's so much more than just creating a circuit and turning it into a chip.
Yeah, things have become so complex, and the engineers are just too clever. I can't even keep up with everything that's going on here. Saad, you've been running around, so we've got a question from Asma here. Are there any examples of applications of AI that have caught your attention?
I mean, and they're on my list today, so I cannot just say right now, but today I will, and then it's going to be on our article on updates of Elektor magazine.
Did you see any AI? Stuart, did you see any AI applications that caught your attention specifically?
Yeah, there was again in the startup area, there was one AI company that was sort of promoting what they call a safe AI for automotive applications. Now, one of the challenges with all of these new LiDAR and camera-based technologies in automotive is that there's a certain amount of calibration required in order to make sure that everything is synchronized. Obviously, when I take my LiDAR information and then I take my camera information, I need to make sure that if the LiDAR sees a human and the camera sees a human, that I know that they overlap. So there's a calibration process. Now, the calibration process apparently can take up to 4 hours, and they use like a checkerboard and all sorts of bits and pieces. So it's quite complicated. And that's one of the reasons why these modules, in their case, they were doing it for a truck application. I mean, the big, heavy modules probably made of sort of metal as well, in order that over time they don't vibrate out of place, that they stay relatively aligned over time. Now, their AI technology was actually capable of monitoring both the video and the LiDAR and then correcting for any vibration movement changes in the application. So it's taking the single camera but turning it into a depth of field stereoscopic view, and it's taking the lidar information, and it's saying, oh, the misaligned here, I need to sort of move everything back together, but also in perspective. So something that's 10 meters away and something that's 1 meter away are all aligned properly. So loads of AI applications like that, which you'd never think of unless you were in the industry and were confronted by that problem.
Yeah, and now you mentioned the LiDAR and all that. Now I remember that I went to Kog again, and then they had a demonstration of their systems which they make, modules and everything. And what they're doing is that you can run AI on one side because they have like 8 cameras and a LiDAR, and they can divide their all processing power on their modules. So one processor can do AI, the other can do machine learning, the other can do image vision and all that stuff, and they were all integrated into one system. So yeah, so there was all summed up in a very small form factor, and they were doing a bunch of sensors. It was really amazing to see.
Yeah,
with a big LiDAR on the top of a demo car, and then 8 cameras, and it was really responsive as well.
Yeah.
Well, is a question from Peter Gilbert I just want to answer here. It is, will you be doing another broadcast from the show? Peter, no, this is the broadcast, so we have to get everything into this hour, and we've just gone over that hour. But we will be running around on the floor, taking video, interviewing people, and bringing you the latest news from Embedded World, so you could look forward to that. And as I said, we've run up against our time. I hope that you've all entered our giveaway.
What was the code word again?
I can't remember. Oh yes, embedded. Embedded. And Jens, I suppose I shouldn't say goodbye to you without first asking you, what are you most excited to see at the?
You mean what I'm planning to
Yeah.
see? Yeah, I will go definitely to the big semiconductor companies as every year, but I will also just go around, let me float a little bit, and there you sometimes see really exciting things.
Okay.
The companies you don't know at the moment. So
Great. Yeah, he likes to find quirky niche things, which I also enjoy uncovering those hidden gems. And check out the news page I showed you earlier to get more on that. And don't forget to download the special Embedded World Edition from our website. And good luck with the giveaway. And thank you to Jens, our editor-in-chief, for joining us, the inimitable Stuart Cording.
many thanks, Stuart.
Chief Engineer Saad Imtiaz. Good luck with the rest of the show.
Yeah, thank you.
And of course, thanks to Anand from Espressif for joining us, and Pedro and Jean-Francois Simon. And these guys will bring us some more news, and we'll all be posting more updates as the fair goes along. So, oh yeah, don't forget to join us in future. We have an interesting Meet the Maker, but we'll announce that later. And in early May, our Clemens Fallons will be doing a webinar on Arduino PLC. So that should be interesting. You can either go to our website, elektor.tv, not our website, our YouTube. Elektor.tv will take you to our YouTube, where you can keep updated on what's upcoming. But also on our website, you can sign up for the newsletter, so you won't have to keep visiting. We will send you newsletters of the latest and greatest webinars and live streams to come. Thanks, guys, for joining us. And thanks to you all for joining us at this earlier time for Elektor LabTalk number 17, live from Embedded World 2024.